Well, here we are again on a wonderful, hot Friday afternoon, and just sharing a little bit of our Hispanic north of the border flavor there. So, and
North of the border?
north of the border, hey, yeah, hey, south of the border. See, the heat even gets to me. Well, we're here at Expanding Your Reach, and we're every week on Friday. We're kicking it off a little bit early here today, but bottom line, around 2 o'clock, we bring in guests through our members or through our connections with our Expanse program, our networking program. So today, along with my co-host, George Watley III.
Hello, Expanding Your Reach crowd. How are we doing today?
There you go. And again, we have Robert Cuellar and Jenn Perez. I wanted to welcome you on board, and we're going to find out a little bit about both you guys and a little bit about who you are, where you're from, north of the border.
North of the border.
Way north.
Like, where you get your chilies from, Holmes?
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's the chili expert over here.
Not from the north, man.
So, Jen, let's start with you. I mean, you and I go back almost 4 years.
Yeah.
3.5 at least.
This winter will be 4 years.
Yeah, I know. With Anbang.
Mm-hmm.
The Rich Claypool posse.
Right.
So he's I'm not sure he's busy or out of town. I'm not sure he wasn't there today, but it's always good to visit with all those guys and girls or the gals over there. But again, that's where we met at the Jaeger Suites, I believe,
Yep.
way back when with the aquarium. So seating capacity to about 14 people, but we had about 24 people in there.
Maxed out quick.
It was pretty cool.
I
So
love the Jaeger life.
yeah, well, hold on now. Which Jaeger are you talking about now?
The Jaeger building, of course. The experience in the Jaeger building.
Sure, okay. We'll bring you in a little bit later there, George. We got some talking about some brandy and cigars later. But, Jen, tell us a little bit, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Illinois, but raised in Wisconsin.
There you go.
Go
Shout out
Packers.
to the Wisconsin Badgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Yep. Got all the cheese,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely good there.
Yeah. You seen it? I shared a little something to Rich's. It was the top 10 party towns for college football, and number 1 was Wisconsin, Madison. So we're the college
There's
towns.
a few cities in Wisconsin in that list.
Yeah. So Rich didn't like that one. Candace didn't make the list. Sorry. So-
Still love you, Rich.
What about
Yeah.
the Wisconsin Dells? Is I'm saying that right? Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Dells?
Wisconsin Dells. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
it's
haven't
a
been
resort
there since
area.
I was a kid, but my brother takes his kids there all the time.
Oh yeah, the
You
lakes
know
and
what
everything.
got my attention about Wisconsin Dells? I was infatuated with true crime in the Prohibition days. So I used to hear about
Wait a second.
Scarface. What is Scarface Al Capone?
You're not even old enough to know what prohibition is.
Hey, I like history, and I just chose crime as history to read.
Well, at least you chose crime for research, not involvement.
But I understood that Al Capone used to hang out in that area.
Didn't
Had
know
a-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a nice little hideouts, I heard.
Well, actually, matter of fact, are you familiar with Milwaukee a little bit?
A little bit.
They used to have a place called Safe House, which was an old reconstructed speakeasy. Which, anyways. So, tell us again. You're from Illinois, by way of Wisconsin. When did you come to Texas?
Well, I then went to college at Indiana University, so jumping around quite a bit. And then 2 days after I graduated, I moved to DFW. So I've now been here a little over 11 years.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I'd rather take this heat than the winters in Wisconsin any day,
Oh, I know.
especially after this last year.
And that's exactly true. But before we'll touch on that in a minute. I want to find out, Robert, where are you from?
I'm actually from Brownsville, down south Texas. You can't get any further south. Right there on the border between Texas and Mexico.
Not Brownsville, New York, but Brownsville,
Not Brown-
Texas.
Not Brownsville, Tennessee either.
Okay.
So Brownsville, Texas.
So Brownsville, Texas. And so what brought you to Dallas?
Oh my God, that road's long. I mean, I went to school in San Antonio, UTSA, and then I moved over to Southwest Texas State in San Marcos. I was putting myself through school, college, got a job selling jewelry, loved it,
Wow.
was good at it.
So now you're a true Texan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Born in Corpus.
So back when you used to drive a pickup truck, you used to have a gun in the back rack?
Not on the back rack, but behind the seat.
Yeah, okay. It's well known. It's common. I
Hey,
mean,
you know what?
yeah, that's what it is.
My dad had a range, so yeah, you
Yeah.
had to, you took care of yourself.
Yeah.
So
Times have changed, a little bit.
I don't know, that rack, that 30-06 still on the rack of somebody's pickup truck.
Where are you from, George?
I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. No,
Sorry. Anyways.
home of the Bengals and the Reds.
That's right. Yeah. No, okay. So, when you were growing up, Jen, what did you want to be when you were before high school? Before high school.
Okay.
I mean, we all have a dream way back when, right? What was yours way back when?
I remember in 3rd grade I wanted to be a writer.
A writer.
I even wrote a book that I still have till this day.
Really?
I never did anything with it or published, but it's probably not even worth it.
What was the
It's
theme?
a lot of work. But
What was the theme of the book?
it was called The Big Defeat, and the
Okay.
theme was, without mentioning the name, there's a makeup company out there that there's this big monster in town, and this girl who her name was the brand of the makeup, and I can't even remember the details, but basically she ended up trying to figure out how to get rid of this monster, and she was putting in this pile of paint and ended up all over her face. And there goes, that's how the brand was created, kind of a thing. And then somehow, I can't even remember how she defeated the monster, but she did.
Live to tell another day.
Yeah.
Okay. Robert, what about you? Back again.
mine's not that exciting.
Before high school.
Before high school, man.
I mean, we all had that childhood dream.
You know what? I really don't remember I wanted to do anything particular. My dad owned his own business, and that's what I was getting into, and
Okay.
that's what I enjoyed doing.
So what attracted you to the business that you do now? What got you started?
You know, I was sitting there talking to a friend. His son and my son were on the same soccer team. And we were talking. He said that he had his own insurance agency in Honduras, and he moved up here and he was doing something else. And he was talking about getting back into it. And he said, "Man, you ought to look into it." So I did. Been doing that for 10 years. Kind of looked at different things within the insurance industry, and I know I found my niche in the last 3 years doing specializing in health.
Yeah, explain just a little bit, expand on that as far as what is your industry, because we
Well,
didn't touch on that yet.
You know, I do life and health, but I do it in a different way. That I do strategy planning with individuals. We look at their situation, we look at what their budget, and we try to determine what best fits for their needs, their family. We don't want to break the bank. We don't want their premiums to be higher than their mortgage payment. We don't want them to be out of pocket to where they're going to have to dip into their savings account to protect themselves.
Right. So basically, it's you're like you said, you do a free consultant with somebody and help strategize what works best for them that they can afford in their lifestyle.
Yes, definitely. I mean, because most people just use a cookie cutter approach. They get the basic information and say, "Hey, here's the plan." Well, that's too expensive. Well, then you have this plan over here. But they don't look at the whole situation. They don't look at the entire family and determine what strategy to use best for them.
And what happens is a lot of people, again, here's what it is. Insurance, not just insurance, but just with a lot of things, whether it's marketing or, financial planning, whatever. Bottom line is, many people do not understand insurance, marketing, or all sorts of things. And so they don't ever take the first step to learn. Like the free consulting is knowledge, okay? And it's free.
And it's free.
And it's free. So this way, the point is, lack of knowledge leads to lack of action. People will stay, and you and I were talking about this, people will stay with their own plan and won't even consider something else just because I don't want to know. I'm good. Okay, and here I'm gonna prove something here. George,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I don't think you were here when I asked this question earlier, so I'll hopefully name 3 insurance agencies.
Allstate, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, state agencies. Farmers.
Okay, you were looking more in the auto, but sorry, if I said
farmers
if I said name 3 health insurance agencies, what would you say?
Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna, and the one that I probably never have. I can't remember.
Well, the point was, we talked about this. There's a lot of different options out there. A lot of different options, and that's where you come in.
I do.
And bottom line is, it's about getting to know what those options are. If you do not know, you're going to stay with the big 3. And you're not, and I'm not saying anything bad about the big 3. What I'm saying is, and this is for, a tagline from somebody from the Allen Chamber. Do you dare to compare? And the bottom line is, compare, and you're offering a free comparison.
Exactly. It's free to compare. It's free to understand. The knowledge is free, and whether you're my client or not, I will help you. If somebody has a plan that they don't understand, I will be more than happy to sit down with them and explain it to them.
Right.
People, they did a survey, and 60% of the population could not name the different terms of their health insurance, like co-insurance, co-pay, max out-of-pocket, deductibles. These are the basics, the very basics of what's going to come out of your pocket, and yet you don't know what they are.
Guilty as charged. Jen.
Yes.
So now, like he's talking about strategizing.
Mm-hmm.
Strategizing health coverage to fit your budget.
I like it.
I think this is right down your alley, isn't it? Something about strategizing and planning.
Has something to do with the exact numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Exact numbers.
Now, how you went from, let's see, a book author to what you do now. What made you want to go down this path?
Well, to be honest, ever since high school, I went to college for accounting. Couldn't get into the business school. I tried getting my master's. Things in life happened. I never could get into that industry or get the education because everybody said in order for you to get in, you need to get like a master's degree. So I kind of got my foot in the door of doing accounting work 6 years ago. About 3 years into it, people were referring, oh, Jennifer knows how to do bookkeeping. She can help you. Okay, so I did it kind of like as a freelancer, and after I had 3 of those, I was like, okay, maybe I should start a business because this is doing really well. And so that's kind of how I started things. But one of my passions is not just being the entering all of the data. That's simple work in my opinion. But it's also, we like to educate our clients as well so that they understand their numbers. We do their books so that they have the exact numbers to be able to make better financial decisions. And a piece of that on the education side is that we do help them with creating a budget. We look at their expenses, do an expense analysis. We can help them put that together, help them hold them accountable, depending on what their needs are. And on the personal level, we do financial coaching as well. And so if my goal really is to help, whether it's families or business owners, just help them create a cash flow method so that it can support the lifestyle that they enjoy.
So what's the number one problem you see when you go and visit with a first-time client?
It's usually time. They don't have the time to take care of whatever it is. They don't have time to sit down and go over a budget. They don't have time to do the books. And so it's finding that time to get things done that really need to be done. You have to do your books to do taxes, for example. That's something.
Or it'll catch up to you somewhere along the line.
Exactly.
They're not going away.
Right. And just if you have financial goals in life, you need to budget so that you can help reach those goals even faster.
And a peace of mind.
Yes.
I mean, that goes back to both things. Not knowing about insurance and just, I'm good. It's you could be paying so much more than you should.
So much more.
Than you should. And the same thing, like not knowing what your expenses are and what you're spending, where it's going. You got to rein it in and figure out, okay. And once you've done both of these and you've compared and you said, this is the plan that I want, this fits my budget, my needs, my family. It's a load off their shoulders when they make that decision. And the same thing, when somebody says, wow, I never knew. And this is how much I'm spending on coffee per month, and whatever. Yep. And you start identifying that. And once you got a grasp on it, a peace of mind comes over you. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey, now I'm going to go on vacation because I know I can afford it and not worry about it. I can go mountain climbing and fall off and no big deal. I mean, I'm covered.
Yes.
So, Jen, I'm your client, and
yes.
I call you and I say, I want to go to Vegas. How's my splurge account? Am I able to splurge this weekend?
That is not a simple answer because I don't know what your finances are.
Yeah, no, she's going to say, hey, just remember what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Vegas.
Along with your money.
What happens in Vegas goes on Facebook. No, it really is. In any of those aspects, I have a free consultation because I want to get to know you, what your goals are, where you're at, so that I can help better answer that question. Because for me to just answer, a couple questions, do you have debt? How much income do you have? What are your expenses? That doesn't necessarily mean I can still answer that to help you, to truly help you financially.
Okay.
The funny thing is, and tell me if you come across this, because I think you do. And the same thing for both of you. A lot of times when you have a product or a service and you want to offer it to people and you go to offer it to your friends, a lot of them, they don't want your service because they don't want you to know what's behind their curtain. Mm-hmm. They don't want you to know that they are being treated for something. They don't want you to know that they're struggling financially. They want whatever that perception that they want to portray. They don't want you to know what's behind. Now, I'm not saying that's exclusive, but I know when I went into financial industry for a little bit, that's what I found.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. More people are willing to talk about their sex life than their finances. So
that's
or
lack thereof,
or they say embarrassing habits.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of puts them in that situation. They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Get a little embarrassed, right? You know.
And that's why I do the free consultation, because it helps us kind of to help build that relationship too. It's not just, oh, let me take your money and blah blah blah. And honestly, I do it with the heart and passion to help. So the money is more to help hold people accountable, but it's getting to know them and build that relationship, because you do business with people you know, like, and trust.
Correct.
And it's hard to trust someone, like you said, that if they have a ton of debt or they made this decision that they probably shouldn't have and they regret it, or they just have something going on that they don't want others to know about. Well, that's why everything is confidential as well. So, and I make sure that I wouldn't let someone be my client if they're not comfortable with us working together.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, you basically want to get to know people. And again, with health insurance, you really can't make what's the word I'm looking for? You can make plan suggestions, but I don't think you can actually do health suggestions.
No, and I wouldn't dare to even make those suggestions, because number one, I'm not a medical provider.
Right.
So, and I don't know, what the right course of action for them is. That's between them and their doctor. My job that I take very seriously is making sure that they have the funds and the knowledge to be able to go out and take care of their health, to be able to go out and know that they've got a team of people behind them, not just their medical provider,
Right.
but a broker that's going to help them and guide them and walk them through the process, that they have an insurance company that's going to pay, and that they have an advocacy type situation to where if they run into a situation where they have to pay a lot of money, they're going to have somebody that'll step in and negotiate those bills down for them. I had a situation with a client. She wound up with a $38,000 hospital bill.
See, the numbers that are happening nowadays are just astronomical.
They're ridiculous. I mean, it's personally, I think it's robbery. I mean, but I shouldn't say that. But
Yeah, who knows? I just remember and again, it's been a while since I've been in the hospital, but I've had my stays. But the point is, I remember, 10, 15 years ago, deductibles were $500, $1,000.
They were.
And now we're talking,
and
it's
your
like...
and your premiums were $200 or $300.
Yeah.
Not $1,500, $1,600.
Yeah. And it was like, now, a typical deductible, it's like $3,500 per person.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to meet your deductible before the plan will ever kick in.
Right.
Which is catchy. That's a catchy situation. That's more of a catch-22.
And here's the biggest challenge for me is to sit down with somebody and explain to them, hey, number one, here's an opportunity for you to change what you're doing and how you're doing it, and put money back into your retirement or vacation account, or you want to buy a new car, great. This is how much I'm going to save you where you can do those things. But it's through knowledge. It's through you taking responsibility for your health care.
But see, for somebody to sit down, here's the thing. We all are in networking here. And we'll sit down and we'll discuss, hey, come with me and I'm going to show you something. If somebody sits down with you and learns the ins and outs about how to, with their insurance policy, just think of the value that you could potentially pass on.
Oh, it's huge. I can show people how to save $3,000 on an MRI, but it's them being able to, number one, trust me, and the relationship that I have to build with them, to where they understand that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm the expert at what I do, and I've got a real passion for it. I mean, it's important for me to help people protect their families.
Here's a question, Robert. The folks that you deal with, can you tell me what's the average age that of the folks that you help out to find the right health insurance? What's the average age that come to you?
The average age is in their 40s to mid 40s to 50s. They're the ones who have the family. They're the ones who are having to pay $1,500 a month to protect the family, and it's just so outrageously expensive that they decide that, hey, you know what? I'm just going to forego having insurance, health insurance, and roll the dice and hope nothing happens.
So what can we do to influence the new age family, the families in their late 20s, early 30s to come in and get their health insurance established early?
Well, here's something that's very important. Age-based pricing is very important, and that's what we do. The younger the person, the less expensive that policy or that plan is going to cost them. And they don't realize that, hey, I'm not going to pay the same price as a 50-year-old. So they're going to get
Right.
a huge price break.
And not only that, there's and again, I don't want to get into too much policy thing, but I just know that there's, if you start at a whatever age, 30 years old or whatever, and the same thing goes with life insurance too. Bottom line is, once you're in, you basically are already forgiven for certain things. You don't have to requalify.
Yeah, once you're in, because you do have to go through an underwriting process. Yes, once you're in, if something happens,
Right.
you're covered.
But if you put it off.